All right, all right, all right, all right. Okay, we on?
I have to go get something. Just one sec.
Am I on?
I don't have to be an acknowledgement.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Is this thing on? Yeah! A few people are live up front. Thank you for that. And Dave Renwick's here. Awesome. Anyway, thank you for coming. Welcome to DisruptHR 2024. We're super excited to have everybody here. I'm Terry Gillis, President and CEO of ARIA Consulting.
And I'm Kelly Gillis, Vice President of ARIA Consulting.
So, as I mentioned,
thank you.
Awesome. She's the glue that keeps everything together. I just show up and talk a lot. So anyway, it's all good. This is our 5th DisruptHR. We started this journey back in 2017, had a little thing called COVID, you may remember, that shut us down for a few years. Came back here last year to Bellemere, had an epically awesome time. Kudos to Bellemere, obviously our event sponsor. We've got some great speakers tonight. This is just going to be a fantastic evening. But before we get any further, I turned over to Kelly briefly.
Thanks. I'm going to do the land acknowledgement for this evening. We acknowledge that the land we stand upon today is the traditional territory of the Arawandon, Anishinaabeg, Haudenosaunee, Lenape-Wak, and Chunukton peoples, who have long-standing relationships to the land, water, and region of southwestern Ontario. The local First Nations communities in this area include Chippewas of the Thames First Nation, Oneida Nation of the Thames First Nation, and Munsee Delaware Nation. We acknowledge the treaties that are specific to this area: Treaty 2, Treaty 3, Treaty 6, Treaty 21, and Treaty 29. We value the significant contributions, both in the past and the present, of local and regional First Nations of Turtle Island. We acknowledge historical and ongoing injustices that Indigenous peoples endure in Canada, and we affirm our commitment to honoring Indigenous voices, nations, and cultures, and to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect.
Thank you for that. Wonderful. So tonight, it's all about bold ideas. This is about fresh perspectives. It's about breaking through traditional ways of thinking. If you've been to a Disrupt before, you know what's coming at you very shortly. If you haven't been before, buckle yourselves in. It's going to be an epic ride. We're here to listen, to share. We're here to be energized and inspired. This is about pushing the boundaries a little bit and exploring new ways to make our workplaces more dynamic, inclusive, and forward-thinking. Remember, our speakers, and unfortunately for you, I'm one of them, will be sharing their insights tonight with quick, impactful, 5-minute talks. The slides are going to be flipping every 15 seconds. We encourage you to engage with our speakers at the breaks, to ask questions, to connect with one another throughout the evening. So thank you for being here. Let's get ready to disrupt. So, a couple of really important things. I'm going to reiterate about the little cookies in your bag. Those are dog cookies. They're not human cookies. Our friends from Bosco and Roxy's did inform us that it's all made with human-grade ingredients, but I wouldn't recommend it, just saying. A little on the dry side. But if you do have a puppy at home, I guarantee you, these things are like crack cocaine for dogs. They will go nuts. Absolutely epic. Our dogs go crazy for these things. So that's number one. Number two, we have some door prizes tonight. We have 2 of them. We have a Yeti cooler and thermos. That's courtesy of At Work Office Furniture. Fill out a ballot at the back where you came in. Make sure you put your name in for that draw. We will be drawing for that at the end of the night. If we draw your name and you're not here, you miss out. Aww. Second, we're giving away 4 tickets to a future game. We'll work together to figure out which one works best in your schedule to our hometown London Knights, OHL champions last year, going all the way. Mem Cup this year, yes? There we go. All right. So you want to see them as they go on that journey towards the Memorial Cup. Gosh, I hope I haven't jinxed it. So anyway, there you go. Over to you.
All right. So an event like this is not possible with the support of our sponsors. As Terry mentioned, we want to thank our venue sponsor, Bellamere Winery and Event Center. Isn't this an awesome spot for this event?
Yep.
Yes. Our media sponsor, London Inc., our print sponsor, KKP London, and many other innovation sponsors, Davis Martindale, SPM Benefits, Leclerc & Associates, Voyago Transdev, Ontario Plants Propagation, Techdos, CJ Pink Precast, Harrison Pensa, the Better Business Bureau, Bosco and Roxy's, as already mentioned, don't eat the cookies, All Women's Lead, Blue Jay Irrigation, At Work Office Furniture, Libro Credit Union, Bedpoint Healthcare Center, and Rocky Mountain Chocolate. And I think it's also really important to say many, if not almost all of these sponsors have been clients of ARIA's, and we appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
I also want to give a huge shout out to the ARIA team. Special mentions to James Coolidge, who you've already heard tonight up here giving announcements. And
He's very shy, so if you just we could just say hello to James, he'd feel a lot better.
Yeah, James
That'd be awesome.
James is a
Thank
quiet
you.
one. Sarah Daly and Marissa Baldry, they were really the core team for putting this event together, but all of the team helped out to make this what we hope will be a wonderful event this evening for all of you.
And I just want to touch on that. You know, everybody talks about their organizations having a great team and whatnot, but I can say without a doubt that the team at ARIA Consulting is absolutely epic. And from my bottom of my heart, I just want to thank all of them that are here tonight and for all that you do for not only for our organization, but for all of our customers, many of which are sponsors here tonight in the greater community. It's an epic crew, and I'm just so proud of having you as part of our team. So thank you for that. So one of the things you struggle with, you put on an event like this, we go to sponsors so that we can get a lot of our costs covered, and then we have to sell tickets. And so we try to do a best guess as to how we can make put this event on. We will actually make some money tonight. But before everybody freaks out about that, I can tell you unequivocally that every nickel that we make above and beyond the cost here gets put back into our community with various philanthropic adventures of ours. The one that we're probably most proud of and most relevant to this event is we do provide every year a scholarship to a Fanshawe student who's studying HR. Unfortunately, that individual isn't able to join us tonight and preferred not to have their main name mentioned, which is we're going to honor that, keeping their privacy. But nonetheless, we're very proud of the fact that every single year, one Fanshawe student who's probably needs a little bit of a hand up, a little bit of help getting through school, part of what comes out of tonight helps support that. So it's kind of paying it forward and keeping the HR community going strong. So we're really proud of that one. So thank you. You're part of that as well. So now, the house rules. The bar will remain open throughout the entire event, and after my talk, you may want to hit the bar. I understand that. Alcoholic beverages, we have to consume them here. We can't take them outside the building or outside into the parking lot. Smoking, vaping, all that sort of stuff, that's permitted in the parking lot. We have emergency exits all over the place. Two here, over there. Okay. Washrooms are at the back. Michael, give us a wave at the back there if you would. And the washrooms are behind Michael down that way. And hors d'oeuvres and light refreshments will be available throughout the evening. And at break, we will also have, we'll start to move into a dessert sort of function. So that'll be kind of cool. So, but no fighting about the food. So anyway, all good.
All right, so we're getting close to the main event. So as Terry said, we're hearing from 14 amazing speakers this evening. 7 will happen before intermission, the remaining 7 after the intermission, and then the draw that Terry spoke about, so make sure you stay to the end. Each speaker has 5 minutes, 20 slides, transitioning every 15 seconds behind them. This is not for the faint of heart, let me tell you. But before we get to our first speaker, which I think you maybe already heard is this guy, I think there's something else.
There is something else.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure.
Oh, you know what? I think I forgot something though.
Yeah.
The lightning cap.
The
Sorry.
Yeah, we got it before.
Sorry, James
before
is
we do our
James
little
is
shtick.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's very important.
This is This is critical. This
Yes,
part's super critical.
This is key.
Yeah.
So 5 minutes, again, not for the faint of heart. When the speaker gets to the end of their 5-minute time, they will see. Is it up on the screen, James? I can't see. Oh, the Disrupt Lightning Bolt. And when you see that come up, it is your job to start clapping. Just like this. Everybody do it. Clap with me.
This is the participatory part here, folks. When this comes up, you gotta clap.
Woo! That is the key to the speaker. They are done. That's kind of like getting the hook. So they all know that. They will be cued. They will know to wrap up their talk. But when you see that on the screen, please join us in clapping and thanking them for their awesome presentation. And it will be on to the next speaker. And so, before we begin...
Now we can do our shtick.
Yes.
Okay.
Wasn't there something else we wanted to
I
talk
don't know.
about?
Was there something else we
I
wanted
don't
to
know.
talk
Like,
about?
this is like
This is
DisruptHR. So we have to do something disruptive tonight,
Totally
right?
disruptive.
All
I
right.
think we
Okay.
should.
We need Sharon Bunce up here. Sharon Bunce? Where's Sharon Bunce? Sharon Bunce is one of the ARIA team members. She's our Senior Director of HR Consulting. And Sharon has, I think it feels like, has given birth to a new initiative in partnership with Terry and I, and we are very pleased to share something about this evening with you.
I think we have a video clip.
I think we do. Do we have a video?
Yes, we do.
James, do we have a video? All
We
right,
have a
roll video.
Roll video. Let's see what we got here.
At ARIA Consulting, we believe everyone deserves a great place to work, but we get it. Time, money, and HR challenges often stand in the way. But what if it didn't have to?
Introducing Thrive People Solutions, the HR innovation your business has been waiting for, giving you fast, compliant, and cost-effective HR solutions that work. Thrive People Solutions was designed with the belief that every business should have easy and affordable access to simplified HR solutions that deliver results. With Thrive Protect, imagine saying goodbye to overwhelming, complicated policies that aren't utilized, and hello to streamlined, action-packed content that's easy to implement and follow. Forget boring, outdated legislative training. Thrive Protect focuses on making mandatory compliance training engaging, fast-paced sessions that are 20 minutes or less and explain the why behind it all. With knowledge checks, certificates, and badges, achieving compliance has never been easier. Or picture this, welcoming new hires with a job offer package that builds on the excitement of securing a position with your company.
That's what people look like at ARIA when they join us.
And
by
it
the way.
doesn't stop there. Our tools
a
for
direct clip.
recognition, wellness, and
And
team
this part
building
here, this is
foster
us
real
every day,
connections,
so.
communication, and cohesiveness in your workplace. Or even join the Thrive community, your always free HR resource hub to stay connected, informed, and ahead of the curve for all things HR. With access to the latest HR insights, resource-packed blogs, Thrive in 5 Training Center, and an interactive discussion board to connect with other professionals, you will always have your finger on the HR pulse. Ready to take your business to new heights? Check out our Transform membership, which gives you the ultimate all-in-one solution, including unlimited access to HR experts, A customized roadmap based on your priorities and tailored support to protect, grow, and elevate your workplace. Because your business and your people deserve to thrive. Visit us now and transform the way you do HR. Thrive People Solutions. Protect, grow, and thrive with us.
So, Sharon is not microphone, and she will be speaking as our last speaker tonight, but nonetheless, Sharon joined us about a year ago, and this has been really the focus of a lot of her energy over the last year, and we're really excited to be bringing this forward into the market and showing it tonight, because tonight is all about disrupting, and we're disrupting the status quo with Thrive. Anything you want to add? You have to speak really loudly because you're not microphone, Sharon, but...
Well, I'm just really thankful to be able to introduce it to all of you tonight. And certainly if you have any questions, I'm here. Feel free to come up and ask those questions. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Enjoy disrupting.
More to come. More to
All right.
come on that
Thanks,
one.
Sharon.
All right.
All right,
Well, hold on.
Oh.
I'm going to go off stage, and then
Oh,
you can...
okay, you go off stage.
Okay.
Yeah. So your first speaker needs no introduction. I will share with you, however, that last week we might have been on a vacation, which again, thanks to the ARIA team that continues to do everything so that we're able to do that. Last week he was doing karaoke. He gets really upset if he doesn't get to sing If I Had $1 Million, but I don't think he's going to do that tonight. But let me please introduce Terry Gillis, your first Disrupt speaker this evening.
Here we go. All right. Wonderful. So, this is about the end of talent as we know it. Why would people come to an event called Disrupt HR when, quite frankly, the world we've been in the last little while has been completely turned upside down and completely disrupted? Our world of work has gone through a tectonic shift. Absolutely no question about that. The world of work is a lot different than it was before. Can you imagine 10 years ago, a chart like this that showed that 52% of your people were working in a hybrid environment, or that 29% of your people were working from home on a regular basis? This is epically strange and different. We've also gone through a period of astronomically huge inflation rates, which means now our folks are having a higher cost of living and our compensation hasn't caught up with us, meaning pressure on both employees and employers to get that balance rate. Wow, this is a really huge big deal. Unemployment rate in Canada is 6.6. This is a relatively low unemployment. People are going, oh, it's raised to 6.6%. Oh my goodness, what's going to happen? Go back to 2012 when it was 10, 11, 12%. This is still a really low unemployment rate for this country. Across the globe and in Canada, 70 to 75% of employers are saying, you know what? We can't find people. We can't fill roles. We're having a really tough time with this. What are we going to do? And it's really causing a lot of havoc and wreaking a lot of trouble inside our organizations. We can't find people with the right soft skills. And if you're talking to young people, reliability. Are they even going to show up the next day? Communication, teamwork, accountability, those soft skills, but even those technical skills, where are these skills? We can't find them. There's a report back in May, you may have seen it from the Canadian Manufacturing Association. 18,000 workers across southwestern Ontario are going to leave every year for the next 10 years. That's 180,000 workers over the next 10 years. We're not making enough of those babies. I don't know about you, it's kind of fun. It's the best joke I got, folks. Come on. And baby boomers are starting to look like this. They're starting to get a little bit older, right? So all of this leads to, if you really want to scintillate a crowd, throw up a chart like this. Holy cow. Let me orient to this real quickly. The purple line is 2002 distribution population. The puke orange color is the 2022 data. You're going to notice two things. That middle group, that's your middle manager group. Look at the compression. Look at how fewer there are compared to 20 years ago. Also, look at this part scares me to death. Look at the next generation of workers, the next folks that are coming in. There's a huge gaping hole. But people say, Terry, you know what? That's demographics. What about the labor participation rate, which is how many people in your entire population in your country are actually involved in the workforce? Well, an ideal number is about 70-75%. Canada sitting at 6.4. The prognosis, it's going to continue to go down unless we take more immigrants in, and we won't get into that one. McKinsey came up with a term back in the 1997 called the war for talent. Well, folks, the war for talent is over. Talent won. They hold the cards, they hold the power, no longer with the employer. So here's the deal. We have talent shortages. It's real, it's global, it's significant, and it's going to last a very long time. So prepare. And if you're thinking, we're talking about preparation, if you're one of those poor folks that live in North Carolina or in Florida, when they tell you a hurricane's coming, maybe you tie down your house, thought that was weird. You clean out the grocery shelves of all the water, remember trying to buy toilet paper during COVID, and you evacuate. You prepare for the coming storm. What are we doing to prepare for the coming storm? I fundamentally believe you got to get really, 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 really good at these three things. You got to get really good at attracting talent. You got to get really good at retaining your talent, and you got to get really good at developing your talent. You've got to be in transitioning your talent. You've got to be on this absolutely. And this isn't something we throw to HR. This is tied to your employer brand, which means it's tied to your strategy, which means it's tied to the markets that you're playing in. These are not things that are separated out. You've got to be on top of this stuff. In terms of attracting, what's your organizational design like? What's your compensation strategies like? What are you doing in respect to those? In terms of retention, how are your leaders? Do you have good leadership? Do you have good HR practices? Part of the reason we're doing the Thrive thing, building really solid HR practices. Okay? And do you have good engagement in your organization? If you don't, you need to start preparing for that. And the last one is transition. Are you developing your people? Are you helping them grow and transition into better and greater roles? And if they're not, are you offboarding them well? Because that's super critical too. At the core of that diagram was brand. You can't leave that to chance. Okay? Transition also includes succession planning. You got to get good at that. You got to prepare for the storm. So I fundamentally believe that your employer brand is absolutely, absolutely critical. You cannot afford to have an organization that sucks, period. Brand, stability, growth, and the ability to be flexible. That's the key. Thank you.
So please welcome our next speaker to the stage, Kim Medinsky.
Okay. How many of you folks bought something today or this week? Trick question? Okay. Now, I guess, obviously the bar was open, so I guess that was a very loaded question, right? Now, how many of you got the experience that was promised to you? Show of hands this week if you were to reflect on your purchases. And more importantly, did anybody ask you for your feedback? Anybody ask them for feedback? And where does feedback go? Well, marketing gets a bad rep. And, essentially, we're blamed for marketing not working. But marketing's complicated. It's based on people. And, hey, what is it you folks do? You understand people. Marketing is based on change. And our organization's ready for change. Well, that's debatable. And what is the role of marketing? Well, that gets us into looking at, humans buy products. We're in an era of fear around algorithms and AI. But fundamentally, people are buying products. We all have filters as humans. You folks know this as HR experts. We have filters that affect how we hear messages. It affects how we receive feedback. It can affect how people respond to our campaigns. So it could throw a curveball. But that's where you folks come in, and that's the exciting part of all this. Cognitive biases as humans, that prevents how we see things. Who we think the customer is isn't necessarily who is actually the customer going, hello, you folks have a bias, we're right over here. So implementing a marketing plan, lots of work goes into it. But marketing plans, in order to work, require voice of customer research. And guess what? Voice of customer research requires change, because often the customer is going to say, I would rather this product than that product. So in my work in consulting, I've done a lot of work in different sectors. Two examples that I wanted to share tonight are in tech, ironically, and they both, in this first example, these founders of a med tech company said they wanted to understand the new products that they were launching and understand the customer's feedback. And so they learned that they had a continuous feedback loop of champions who were advocating for them, that if they didn't ask, they wouldn't know. So I encourage you, when you go back to your organizations, to look at where does customer feedback go. Another example, another tech company that's well known here in London, same idea around understanding the customer, and now they actually are a global phenomenon because they're truly customer-centric, that they use the feedback to be a point of difference for them. Customer-centric is not a marketing buzzword or a term. It is actually about how do we create feedback in a loop that is really engaging the customer. The customer needs to be involved, right? Third example is not really a third example. I do have lots of examples, and given privacy, I can't explain what went wrong. But what's interesting is when you do nothing with customer feedback, you're basically handing it over to the competitor. The competitor is getting an advantage. So as I talk about this, I encourage you folks as HR experts, and if you're a recruiter, think about the talent and the marketers that you're hiring. Who is it that you're really looking for? And do they have a depth and understanding? And are they empowered? And a tough topic is the compensation. Marketing fails because high performers leave because they get tired of putting in hours, countless hours, and the sales folks get the bonuses because there's a confusion, which leads us to marketing knowledge in the era of AI. Really understanding the customer. I encourage you when you're looking at job postings, putting out that posting, put it in there. What is their experience around understanding the customer? Which brings us to an exciting part tonight, and that is the intersection of marketing and HR. Marketing is about understanding people and understanding the customer. You folks are really all about understanding people as well. You've got a lot of tools and resources. What if we were to help each other? What if we were to actually share knowledge? It could be as simple as a lunch and learn. It could be, checking in with the marketers to say, do you want some expertise in this area? Let's do something. And maybe marketers doing something to help you. And together, it brings a competitive advantage, not just for the organization, but in the era of AI, where people are worried about their jobs, it future-proofs it for all of us, right? It actually means that people who don't understand what HR does and they don't understand what marketing does, we can come together. And let's face it, we're all customers. So if we can help customers to be heard, we can help each other to be heard as well, right? So it's a win-win. So, I'll leave you with this last point from Professor Delane Hampton at Rotman School of Business, who told me one time, the customer of today is not the customer of tomorrow. So I encourage you that when you go back to your organizations, ask them, where does the feedback go? Thank you.
And our next speaker, Brendan J. Gerlet.
Hello. Thanks so much, Terry. Hi, everyone. My name is Brendan. I'm going to talk a little bit today about the exciting idea of cybersecurity. Obviously not new. I get that. Everyone knows about it. It is on everyone's mind nowadays. Not constantly, but probably a lot more than most people would like it to be. So we're going to talk a little bit about cybersecurity and cyber risk, and how we can manage that as a partner team between IT and HR. At the end of the day, HR has a big role to play in that when it comes to policy, when it comes to procedures, and when it comes to interfacing with staff and employees. So part of that, as I mentioned, is procedures and policies. So obviously, whenever a new user comes into an organization, HR is going to be one of the first groups that they interface with. And so part of that is setting a precedent with them of the importance of cybersecurity and the importance of those policies. And IT needs your help with that, because at the end of the day, you are the face, you are the voice, you are that person who's setting the expectations for that person. So we really want to make sure those expectations are set up front. And I think also a big part of that is training. Obviously, we all talk about health and safety, we all talk about all the different aspects that are expected of an employee when they come on board. Cybersecurity needs to be a part of that. And obviously, IT is providing the content for that, but HR is the one pushing that in front of the employee and making sure that it's front of their radar. And they're going to be a conduit as well. So they're going to be talking with that employee and reinforcing those messages that are coming through and making sure they understand the importance of it. Because at the end of the day, yes, the business is the key, but we have to have all those pieces to support it and make sure it continues. And as part of that, I mentioned onboarding and offboarding. So that's doing the training, that's making sure that they understand what the requirements are, making sure that they understand what they need to do on their side. And I think one of the biggest things that is at the forefront is making sure that not only are the onboarding and offboarding being executed with the employee side, but also on the IT side. So whether that's getting the user set up in the organization or making sure they're moved out of the organization successfully. So HR is always on the forefront of those two procedures. We need to make sure that they're working with IT on that, to make sure IT is involved in that process. And as part of that, we need to make sure that those accounts are onboarded to processes, and working with IT to make that process as seamless as possible, and making sure that those steps are happening in the time frame they need to happen in. The next piece is open communication. So with HR being that conduit to the employee, we need to make sure that they're able to communicate with HR and with IT when there are those situations that occur that require their being involved. So whether that's, the human element in this case, which is that employee maybe potentially being phished or compromised or whatever the situation is, they have to feel comfortable enough to know they can go to someone, get the support they need, and really be engaged in a way that benefits the company and make sure that situation is dealt with immediately. At the end of the day, yes, there are great hackers out there who can hack the most secure computer, but the reality is they're not the most common issue. The most common issue is hacking the brain, and that's phishing, that's ransomware, those things where people are tricked into providing access or providing data they shouldn't be. So making sure that process is there is very important. The next piece is compliance. Of course, compliance is a big thing in HR. It's a big thing in business. We need to make sure whether it's PIPEDA, whether it's PCI compliance, that we have those policies and we have those procedures in place. And obviously, HR is a big part of that, putting those in place and making sure that employees are aware of what's required of them. And that requires a partnership with IT, because of course, IT is going to help you with the IT side of that. That's what we're there for. But also, we need HR's help on the policies and procedures. That's also coming to control and access as well. So at the end of the day, we want to make sure that employees have the right level of access to do their job, but we want to make sure that they don't have more access than they need, and therefore potentially access to information they shouldn't have, or able to leak information that they shouldn't have had access to in the first place. So we need to look at, why do they need it? Do they need it for their role? Do they need it for their job? Do they need to be able to accomplish their goal in business? And if the answer is no, great, let's work with IT to make sure they don't have that access. And if we combine all that together, we can also align our cybersecurity with those business needs. And what that means is basically, let's find a way to make security attractive to the employee. A great example is password managers. They enhance security, but they also make your life easier. I'm sure everyone has one of those passwords like that one that you can't remember, but, oh, I have to have this character, that character, et cetera. If we give them a password manager, we're gonna make their life easier and we're gonna enhance business security. So it's really a win-win. And that's what we need to target when we're talking to users. And I think that brings us to the worst part, which is breaches and disclosure. So obviously not something we ever want to deal with, but at the end of the day, the reality is cybersecurity environment's very tumultuous, very scary, and there are going to be times where we have a breach and we need to disclose that information. IT is going to lead the charge on that, obviously. They need to establish what's happened and what the end result is, but we need HR to work with us on making sure that breach is declared to the right parties and making sure that everyone's on the same page as what we're going to do going forward. And that's everything I have for you today. Thank you so much.
Please welcome Nagam Al-Zamari to the stage.
Good evening, everybody. How many of you have tried teaching somebody to drive before? I was excited, got my friend into the car, showed her the stuff, and I went, drive. She did. Successfully drove into our neighbor's car. How many of you thought this was going to be a successful training story? I hope not. We're all used to the kind of training where you sit, you watch a PowerPoint, and the person speaks. Years ago, I was at a training. It was the first day for teachers back, and somebody got up, and they had the PowerPoint, flip, talk, flip, talk, flip, talk. I don't even remember what the topic was. I just remember wanting to get out of there. That trainer, that was me. Yup, I still believed in the power training back then. I just didn't know any better. And I didn't get the right training. So I'm going too fast, which is good. So what is wrong with training, to my understanding? One, is there really training? Many times we bring in employees and we hand them the manual, show them the desk, and there you go, right? Lack of it. Two, is it a training or is it really just another meeting? And if it's just another meeting, can it be just another what? Email, please, yes. Some people don't know the difference, unfortunately. Three, do we all receive the same information the same exact way? I hope not. We all have different learning styles, and we learn at different paces. And finally, would you rather listen to someone talk about the mountainside, or would you rather be at the mountainside? Experience makes a huge difference, and our training, unfortunately, is not that. Years later, I was a school principal at that time. I got wiser, and I did a lot of things much better, or that's what I tell people anyway. And I had a team at that time, and what we did was sat down, and we actually created training that was intentional. We scheduled different types of training, and listen to this. We based it on the role of the person that was joining us. So if you had a different role, the training was tailored for you. There were 3 important things that had to be in the training. 1, it had to have a welcoming element, so people felt like they were at home. 2, had to have food. Who here does not like food? And 3, and most importantly, it had to be paced out. You cannot take the training and just overwhelm that person starting on their first day. You have to pace it out so that we did a small training, moved on, small training, moved on, and that helped people actually master whatever they're learning before they moved on to the next thing. Now, obviously, I got a lot of questions. One was, isn't this really hard work that you're putting all this into? I mean, you have to sit there and create training for each different role. How much work did that take? Another question I got, how much time did you waste exactly on this? Aren't you a leader? Aren't you supposed to be leading somewhere? Now, of course, I had to come back with my own question. So, we get this employee, we give them the paperwork, we show them off to their desk, and they're working because we need them to, and they make a mistake. How much time do we spend fixing those mistakes, right? And that's the question I asked, because what happened is people end up getting stressed out, burnt out, overwhelmed, and that's when people start leaving. I mean, I think every job I've had before, I've not had to be trained on, just thrown in there. What if instead we actually invested in the talent that we already have? Years ago, I was cutting my husband over here's hair, and I got a little too confident with the clippers, and I took a little too much from the back. Looked like an unfinished roadway in the back of his head. So I had to take the whole thing off. I cried, my daughter cried. I had no business shaving somebody's head. So the question I want to ask you is this. How would you like to learn something new and get trained? Hands-on, step by step, or would you like an unfinished road in the back of your head? I did not recognize him for a little bit. He looked like a scary bold stranger in my house.
And next we have Mark Coulter.
Good evening. So I'm here today to talk about why talent management sucks and how to fix it. And I know that's a bold statement because I've devoted my 24 years of my career into talent management. But before I talk about why it sucks, let's talk about the intentions. The intentions of talent management are really 3 things. One is drive individual, team, and organizational performance. Secondly, engage people. Engage and retain your people because people want feedback on how they're performing. And build capabilities. Capabilities for today, but also build capabilities for tomorrow. Now, one of the things that's really interesting when it comes to talent management is the fact that people really don't get it. Sometimes they focus on myopic solutions to an organizational challenge. I once had a conversation with a CFO that said, we're turning over our people. Why are we turning over our people? Why are we spending so much in recruitment? Well, it's because we're not looking at the whole talent management system. It's about the system, not just one area of your business. So, hands up for those individuals who believe, strongly agree, that their organization has very good talent management processes today. We have one person. There's a prize at the end of the day. And so that's interesting. So, it makes me very curious. We have all this time and energy in talent management processes, but they're not working for our people. So why are they not working for our people? Well, let's ask employees. And so thankfully, Gallup recently released a workplace report that highlighted a couple areas from a talent management perspective. First of all, only 23% of people feel that their manager encouraged their development. Most employees feel that they don't get feedback on their performance or progress. And most employees feel like they don't have opportunities to learn and grow. So we've grossly failed our people, which is pretty sad. We spend all this time and energy and effort in talent management processes that just don't work. So let's talk about what's missing. Why does it suck? So first and foremost, I'm going to pick on the managers. Managers have two jobs in organizations today. One is to run the business, two is to manage their talent. Some managers simply won't, can't, or are not able to perform talent management functions. Secondly, it's all about the systems. Everyone loves sexy systems, right? Put your hand up if you love sexy systems. You love it. The fact is, talent management is not about systems. Systems are about efficiency. What do people need? People need effective conversations. And number three, it's way too tactical. It's not looked at from a systemic perspective. And when you think about being tactical, how many leaders spend time talking about the results of their talent management metrics? They focus on sales, they focus on productivity, they don't focus on talent management metrics. So how can it be fixed? So let me talk about how we shouldn't fix it. And this comes from my 4-year-old daughter. She would say, let's focus on some magic wands, unicorns, and pixie dust, right? That's the solution for everything. It's not going to work for you. I strongly advise against that. But what will work are 3 simple things that you can embed in your organization today. Train your leaders. Leaders are responsible for managing talent, not HR. And if leaders don't have the foundational skills to inspire, motivate, develop their people, they can't perform their essential duty of managing talent. Number 2, make it about conversations. And some of these conversations are about courageous conversations. They need to be able to meet with their people. Employees are the customers of the conversation. Employees need to have regular conversations about how they're doing. It needs to be embedded in the culture. When I talked about before, sales, productivity, etc. What about talent? Organizations need to have a fanatical focus on managing their talent, because if not, it doesn't get the importance that it needs within an organization. So look at it this way. Every single talent management process, whether that be onboarding, whether that be recruitment, development, begins and ends with a conversation. It doesn't begin and end with a system. And what do employees need out of that conversation? They need value, they need transparency, and they need objectivity, something that they can action. So it's really about the conversations that we have with our people every single day. So there's 3 things I want to leave with. 1, make sure that leaders have the foundational skills that they need to manage their people. 2, make it about the conversations. It's got to be talent management in action, not just about the systems. And 3, embed it in your culture. So it works when there's efficient programs that enable effective conversations with people that drive business outputs, and it's really embedded in a philosophy of talent management, leadership, and culture.
Next up, we have Annika Peter.
Hey everyone. So what if I could share with you something that can transform your organization? And I mean amazing things can happen. It's with inclusion and essentially breaking down those silos that we have in our organization here today. And it's something that can make a huge impact. So what are silos? There are these groups or divisions that we see in organizations that isolate themselves, that withhold information. So we want to break it down, and it's with inclusion, and we want to create an environment where people feel included, where they feel valued, where they feel heard, where you see collaboration happening. And that's the huge factor in any organization. Inclusion, super simple. So we're going to go into cost of silos. We might not even know that it's a huge impact in our organization, these silos. You see it with different things that happen on a day-to-day basis, whether it is, a breakdown in communication where we isolate ourselves, we don't talk to each other, we don't share what's happening within one department or another. And then the next part is all about, if our slide wants to go, missed opportunities, that growth and development that you're gonna see in an organization, right? Maybe advancing or being creative. We miss tons of that by creating these silos and not engaging with each other. And then next, we talk about decreased productivity. You see 30% of productivity decrease just because of these silos. Financial implications, frustration, employee engagement decreasing. And we want to increase all that, right? So we're going to continue to try to break down these silos. We see stifled innovation, right? People aren't excited. They can't think about anything to be creative and to advance the organization. So we're going to continue to hopefully break down these silos. And then we're going to talk about the benefits of doing it, which is always exciting, right? You want the team together. You want to create an environment people want to be excited to come to work. And so some of those benefits of breaking down those silos are increased collaboration. So you've heard that comment, 2 brains are better than 1. Well, you heard it right now. 2 brains are better than 1. You hear different perspectives from these subject matter experts, from people from different environments, and something amazing happens. You have enhanced creativity because of that, right? You imagine the most amazing things happen when you take little bits of pieces of things from different people. And then you have increased innovation on top of that, which is awesome too, right? You get to create new processes or policies or procedures in your organization. You get to streamline things or create new impacts for your employees, which is awesome. And then we're going to talk about some successful companies. Amazon, we all shop from there. Apple, I think all of us are majority Apple users. Facebook, Google, we want to be like them. They broke down the barrier. They included different departments from engineering, from marketing, and they did that by inviting everyone together. And then we have strategies, right, for breaking down silos. So what are they? It's going to revert back to the other things that we just talked about. So it's going to be, again, that communication, cross-functional training in communication, right? Bringing other departments together to share their thoughts and opinions and their perspectives, which is always exciting. It's then, on top of that, inviting others to collaborate and share that through open communication, whether it is through, email, face-to-face, whether it's a phone call, whether it's Microsoft Teams as well, to be able to have that psychological safety to share their point of view. And then that culture of inclusion and respect. Having open communication, transparency, feeling valued, inviting people along to share their thoughts and opinions is going to help make your environment a lot better. And then training and development. I can't stress enough how continuous improvement is huge for any organization. Grab your team, learn and grow together, and you're going to see amazing things happen. Big opportunities that you guys are going to hit that you've never hit before. And you're going to overcome those challenges together. You're going to go over that mountain together, and you're going to see big things happen. You're going to, hit the best sales goals. You're going to have the best people join your organization. And then lastly, inclusion isn't a buzzword. It's a game changer. It's your superpower. You bring people together, they're going to be valued and loved and appreciated. So let's break down the silo together and win. Thank you.
It's not a real party with one East Coaster. It's only a real party with 2 East Coaster. The pride of Prince Edward Island, Ron LeClaire.
Terry, sorry I was a few minutes late getting here tonight, but thanks a lot for the free cookie. It was delicious. I've had the pleasure of working with many great organizations and human resources people through the years who have done some magnificent things, very progressive things for employees. But every now and then they'll dip into that big book of bad ideas and just come up with some real stinkers. Oftentimes, that's founded in HR professionals not wanting to deal with difficult employees. They're concerned about hurting someone's feelings. They feel guilty about having hired the person. They don't want to be accountable. So what do? They stick their head in the sand. A very common reaction. Or sometimes they turn to prayer. Sometimes, seriously, the HR manager will just pray to that almighty HR God above, praying for a miracle that this employee will see the light and turn it around. Of course, it never happens, but it can't hurt to pray, right? I mean, so that's another strategy that never really comes to fruition. I think a lot of this is founded in these DIY contracts that people find online. Google is actually great business development for lawyers, by the way. But you find these DIY contracts online, and what happens is they don't protect you in the event of termination, so you think it's going to cost you millions of dollars to terminate an employee. So what do? You hang on. You hang on too long, you keep the wrong people around your organization, as morale dwindles, as culture dwindles, and before it's too late, you're looking at termination. The other head scratcher, the other thing from the big book of bad ideas, though, is how some of these people get through probation. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, well, Ron, we just thought if they had some more time, they'd figure it out. Really? Why did you think that? Probation's when they're at their best, that they're on their best behavior. So don't be afraid to fire people. It's actually quite cathartic. It's cathartic for you. It's cathartic for your organization. It's cathartic for those who are suffering in silence along with you. It's actually better than yoga. It truly is. It's like a day at the spa. It's very zen. You'll feel great. I highly recommend it. Fire the bad people. It's good for your organization. It's good for your mental health. There's such a focus on mental health nowadays. Why keep these people around? It's like that trip to Disneyland with the kids. Remember when they're little? You and their spouse are sitting around, can we afford it? We're agonizing, I don't know, it's a lot of money. When you come back, you don't think about the money you spent. You think about what a great time you had. Firing people is the same. You won't think about the money you spent. You'll think about how great you feel. In all the years I've been practicing law, I've never gotten the phone call, oh, hi, Ron. You remember that loser I fired a year ago? Boy, do I regret that. I wish I hadn't have spent that money. Never gotten that phone call. And forget the PIP, another horrible idea. In Ontario, you're never going to terminate someone for performance. You're only going to terminate them kind of for that Mount Rushmore of workplace offenses. Theft, fraud, assault, harassment, arson. That's pretty much it. Rip the Band-Aid off, baby. You'll feel great. You know you're keeping these people around because you're trying to assuage your own guilt, right? Oh, I feel so bad for them. They don't feel bad for you. They're taking your money, right? They don't care. Rip the Band-Aid off. And remember, it's your credibility on the line because everybody's watching. Everybody's looking to see how long is this person going to stick around. Can I start mailing it in? What about our values? What about our standards? What do you need to do to get fired in this place? Everybody's watching you. It's like a garden. The flowers won't bloom if they're surrounded by weeds. They won't bloom and dazzle and grow. Your employees are the same thing. You got to get rid of the weeds. No one wants a weed garden. Some people want a weed garden, but that's another Disrupt HR topic for next year. So stay tuned. And how many times have I heard this one? Well, I don't want to pay them. They don't deserve it. Oh, really? Well, who hired them? So, and let me get, and actually smart people say this. So let me get this straight. You're telling me you would rather pay someone to destroy your organization from within than pay them less money to go away. That's not a good business decision. And the longer you keep them around, the more at risk you are because they're going to go get a doctor's note and they're going to weaponize that and they're going to scream discrimination, harassment. You know what that is? Cha-ching. That's going to cost you to get rid of them. And if it's not a doctor's note, it's going to be harassment, right? You got to get an investigator, investigations, money, more money. You try to fire them. Well, now they're going to say it's reprisal because they brought a harassment complaint against you. So the sooner you get rid of people, the cheaper it's going to be. And don't just try to ghost employees, okay? They're not going to go away. Why would they go away? You're paying them to do nothing. It's the best gig in the world. They're never going to leave. You have to release them, right? Stop saying meets expectations on the performance review year after year because it's a lie, people. They don't meet expectations. Release them from the cage. Release the organization from the cage. Release your fellow employees from the cage. Thank you very much.
All right, please join me me in thanking our fabulous speakers, including Ron. All right, we're heading back into intermission now till 8:20. Desserts are out, coffee and tea has been refreshed. Please help us by taking your glassware to the bar. We will reconvene at 8:20 and enjoy yourself. Remember, find a friend, network, and we'll see you back at 8:20. Okay, folks, there's about 3 minutes left in the intermission, so you'll want to start making your way back to your seats in a couple moments. Thanks so much.
All right, everybody, hello, hello, hello. We are behind schedule because you took the networking thing a little further than we thought, but that's okay. Good to be connecting with one another. Hey, James. I'm doing well. How are you? We're going to start now. Have another glass of wine, James. Now, we've also been told that our dear friends over on the right were not paying enough attention to you, so we're so sorry about that. So we've moved the lecture. How's everybody over there doing? You doing okay? You're still with us? High fives all around. Cool. Dessert folks are coming back. Fantastic. And 3 guys hit the washroom. Not unusual. Very typical. What's up? You're looking at something very strange. What's going on? These lights got dim. Oh, yes. Look at that. That's okay. It's almost 8:30, so it gets a little weird. So, 7 more speakers. Don't forget to hit the draw before the end of the night. We'll be drawing that just at the end of our 7th speaker coming up here. So, without further ado, I am going to call up to our stage my good friend, Melissa Maloney.
Picture it. You're on the playground, it's grade 6, and the classroom bully is picking on the new kid. It makes your blood boil. You're watching it happen, and you want to create change. So, you feel a little bit sick. You know what's happening isn't right. You know that you want to say something, but you don't know what the right words are. The same thing is happening. Fast forward to our boardrooms. And now that same bully from grade 6 is the vice president of sales for their organization. They bully in a different way now, but it has the same impact. Think about what's happening. They have their right. Their opinion is the one that matters. They make people uncomfortable. They have snide comments. They maybe leave some people out. You see it happening, and the same feeling is there. You want to create change, but what do you say? You look around the boardroom, you see the microaggressions, but not everybody else on the team seems to. You see your coworker shrinking into their seat, you see them looking down, and you think, can I say something? You think back to that playground. The feeling in your belly is the same. It feels uncomfortable. You're wondering, am I the minority? Should I say something? What do I say? The behaviors that we tolerate in the workplace shape the workplace culture and our environment. By not addressing them and not dealing with them, we're essentially saying they're okay. We're embedding them into the culture. What we need to do is change the story. And this is where allyship comes in. It's not just about supporting somebody. It's about actually standing up when it's hard, addressing the challenging things, especially when it's uncomfortable. We need to ask, why is this still happening though? What is it? And a big part of it is fear, and another part of it is normalization. These behaviors have just been accepted for so long. I don't think most people are doing it on purpose. I believe people are doing their best, but we need to create shared dialogue and shared language in order to actually create change and help people move through these really challenging conversations. When we create shared language, we have dialogue and words that help to create boundaries and help to set accountability so that change can actually happen. And that's what we need to look towards. When we think about what allyship really is, it starts with self-awareness. We need to ask ourselves, am I contributing to the problem or am I contributing to the solution? So I ask you, what role are you playing? Practical allyship doesn't need to be complicated. Practical allyship is addressing the inappropriate jokes, helping to create a culture where diverse voices can be heard, shutting people down when they're doing things that they shouldn't be doing. And it starts with you. One voice is enough to start to create change. The key voice, though, it's the second voice. It's the voice that backs up that first one. That's how we're going to change the system. We need to help to create language so that we can deal with zero tolerance around this. It's not as simple as writing a policy. That's not going to actually do this. We have to help people have the words to create the culture shift. When we recognize that the buildup of these microaggressions needs to be treated as big as it actually feels, that's where we're going to see change in creating psychological safety. We have to create a space for open dialogue, for empathy, for great communication. That's what psychological safety will do. When we create a space where people can share their concerns, where they can express challenges and their fears without fear of judgment, that is when we can actually create amazing things. Transformation starts with small actions. Consistent allyship is just that little part, but when we do it over and over again, it has a ripple effect through the organization that will create such a cultural change and results. So I need you to think back to that playground and what happened with the bully. If we outnumber the microaggressors, they will stand down, just like the bully did. And that's what we need to try and do with shared dialogue. Together, let's create workplaces where empathy, self-awareness, they're the norm. Let's stand up to that boardroom bully and make that change happen together. Thank you.
Next up, we have Dean Correa.
Okay. By show of hands, who here has reported an incident of concern at work or in your community in the last 3 months? For those that didn't put up their hand, I can empathize. Over the years, I've investigated hundreds of incidents, and I've asked people, why did you let it get to this point? Well, you know what, Dean? He was a 70-year-old man in a three-piece suit. She was a beautiful little girl. Meanwhile, they're sitting in a hospital room, with a ruptured spleen and a broken jaw. In my 30-plus years as a security practitioner, my big, hairy, audacious goal is to make workplaces and communities safe so that my loved ones and your loved ones can come home safe and enjoy those workplaces every day. Okay, sure. No problem. We're literally disrupting HR. I think I broke the system or something. Sure. That's okay. Okay. There you go. Good evening again. Who here has reported an incident of concern over the last 3 months at work or in your community? For those that didn't raise their hands, I can empathize. I've investigated hundreds of incidents over the years, and I've sat with people that have been hurt. And I've said to them, why didn't you report it before you let it get to this stage? Dean, he was a 70-year-old gentleman in a three-piece suit. She was a beautiful little girl. Meanwhile, they have a broken jaw and a ruptured spleen. My BHAG in the 30-plus years as a security practitioner has been to make workplaces safe. And the number one way to do that is for all of us to report incidents that cause you fear or concern immediately. This is my why. Katie, Aaron, Emery, and Tony. 4 Starbucks partners that were murdered in 2 separate store incidents while I was with the company. It's real, and it happens. Violence is on the rise, and we all know that. Here's another situation. I was in Vancouver for work. There's an all-points bulletin for this green van. All over social media, radio, everything. Be on the lookout for this green van. The suspect is alleged to have killed 2 people in the workplace earlier that morning. Lady's walking her dog, sees this green van on the street, thinks it's the green van. What do I do? What would you do? Report it? I don't want to cause a commotion. I don't want to waste police resources. I don't want to rush to judgment. She calls it in. The police approach the van. There's an altercation. The suspect is shot dead. They investigate the van. In the van, he has the list of 7 people's names. Top 2 names crossed out. Those are the 2 people that he killed in the morning. She's a hero. She saved lives. Imagine sitting at your dinner table at 6 o'clock and realize you didn't call it in at noon. In your city, crime is probably on the rise. Rarely in my experience, and studies will show that when crime goes up, so do incident reporting, and there's 3 reasons why. Number 1, people don't know what to report. I get that question asked all the time. It's really simple. What causes you fear or concern? That's it. Report it. HR, corporate security, law enforcement, anybody, just tell somebody. Number 2, how do I report it? Another easy one. There's a million apps, anonymous tip lines, tell a manager, text it in, email it in, walk into your local police station. The key is to report it as soon as you feel something that causes you fear or concern. Number 3, and this agitates me the most, I choose not to report. Not my workplace, not my neighborhood. Well, guess what? That person that's causing fear or concern may come into your workplace, may go to that coffee shop or that restaurant, or be on that bus with you, or on that plane, then it becomes your problem then. It's up to all of us to keep our communities and workplaces safe. And let me tell you one thing, in 30-plus years, I can guarantee you there are always, always warning signs. Studies and investigations that I've done will tell you that people go through 3 phases before they commit an act of violence. It may take them days, weeks, or years, but they're going to go through these 3 phases. So let's learn to recognize them right now. Phase number 1, I'm going to dehumanize you. Because when I commit that act of violence, in my mind, psychologically, you are no longer human. Therefore, it's okay for me because I've hurt you and you're no longer human. Number 2, I'm going to ratchet it up. More texts, more emails, maybe a poster, maybe an inappropriate physical gesture. Are you going to say anything? Are you going to call HR? Are you going to tell security? Maybe the police? Is anyone going to confront me? Or are you going to let me keep going? Are you going to be a soft target? And phase number 3 is the violent assault. You didn't say anything in phase 1, you didn't say anything in phase 2, and now I've committed the act. And guess what? Everybody's shocked and appalled. You missed it. You didn't call it in. Drives me bonkers. Really, really frustrating. And there's always signs, and that's a really important message. For business leaders in the room, I have 2 calls to action. Create and embed an incident reporting policy. Train on it. Number 2, every quarterly scorecard, report incidents per 10 employees. Every time. If you're not getting incident reports, they're happening. You're just not getting them. So you got to call it out, and you got to report it every quarter. To our friends in the media, stop glorifying the attackers. Stop giving their 15 seconds of fame. Tell us about the victims, the first responders, the heroes, what we missed, and how to report it. These people here all died at the workplace. And it's up to all of us collectively to make sure that my loved ones, your loved ones' pictures don't appear in the middle of that screen. It's an act that we have to do every day, 7 days a week. This phrase is pretty simple, it's pretty famous. Who here is ready to join me on a crusade to make workplaces and communities safer every day, all day, one incident report at a time? Who's with me?
And up next, we have Lorena Krosney.
You're doing everything in your power to support your teams. And while you do this every day, you encounter an enemy that's invisible. A busy mind, intense emotions, imposter syndrome, mostly feeling like it's never enough, there is no end in sight. Let me tell you a true story. Kayla was feeling overwhelmed by her emotions. Her mind was constantly racing. She was feeling like she wasn't herself, every single day chained by the pressure to perform. Many of us perhaps relate to Kayla. This inhibited authenticity is what leads to emotional chaos, stress, frustration, depletion. We're all feeling it. Why does that happen? We're wearing a mask. We are inhibiting who we truly are. We're losing sight of our identity. We're constantly spinning in circles, constantly chasing, but never really arriving. Imagine what it would feel like if you had the ability to control your thoughts, your emotions, if you could shape your identity as a leader. Imagine the peace, the confidence, the power, and how the ripple effect would transform your teams. What if you could be unshakable? Imagine that. A leader that is grounded in psychological mastery, that can shape their identity and align their mind, heart, and emotions every day. Psychological mastery has many layers we can explore. Mental, emotional, identity, relational dimensions, and we can start to build a fearless future for ourselves. But let's tackle identity together. I am who I am. Who are you? It is time we recognize that leadership identity is not about what we do, it's who we are. What if you learn to lead by simply being yourself? It all starts with embracing authenticity. When you remove the mask, you start to simply be yourself. You are stepping in truly as a true self. But how do we build authenticity? We need to start to unlock awareness, to see our thoughts, our emotions, our behaviors, to gain clarity about what really drives us. Otherwise, we're fighting with our eyes closed, hoping to defeat the enemy standing in our way. Be open and lean into acceptance. Embrace all parts of who you are without judgment. Your strengths, your flaws, and everything in between. Appreciate your uniqueness. Strengthen and empower your sense of agency, recognizing that you can be in control. You can get past the fear, the uncertainties, the constant changes, and boldly rise above it all, defeating whatever comes your way. Knowing that you can unleashes this power to shape your story. Self-authorship is about intentionally designing your identity. It is about creating your leadership journey and transforming your life beyond the workplace. Leaders that have their authenticity, they see their impact grow. They're better decision makers, they experience less stress, they have more resilience through uncertainty. This transformation is real. Remember Kalo? She was able to step into her journey. She was able to craft her story and redesign her identity. She shifted from chaos to clarity, from inauthentic to truly unstoppable. By stepping in psychological mastery, she was able to shift from pain to power. She started to design her journey. She no longer wore a mask. She was able to be herself with intentionality. When you speak to her now, she will share with you how she's engaged in balance and control. From inhibited, she turned into this vital version of herself that truly empowers others. Leadership of the future won't be defined by the strength of your strategy alone. It will be defined by your inner ability to control your inner world. Do you want to be an authentic leader? Do you want to be yourself? You are invited to step into authenticity and build on these 4 pillars of awareness, acceptance, agency, and authorship. Together, they will create a version of you that is truly unstoppable. I invite you to step and activate psychological mastery. Together, we will be able to build a new kind of leadership that is as impactful as it is deeply human. Thank you.
Up next, we have Chad Dawson.
Typical Canadian family of 4 spends about $18,000 a year on publicly funded healthcare. That's your tax dollars. As a proud Canadian, that has me worried about the future of our healthcare system. Makes me wonder whether it's beyond repair. Pre-COVID, our healthcare system was, let's call it a house of cards. We knew we had issues, but if you had a serious health condition in Canada, you're going to get looked after, it's going to get paid for. It's part of the DNA of who we are. Cue the pandemic. Pandemic brought our healthcare system to its knees. Wait times ballooned. Hospitals are at 150% capacity. So is COVID the gift that's going to change or the curse that will doom us forever? It's going to get better, I promise. There's light at the end of the tunnel. I want to make the case for change first and have 3 healthcare trends that should scare the heck out of all of us, and then I'll promise a little bit of a better way. But first, when you go to your family physician, where do those records go? Answer, we don't really know where they're stored. It's a patchwork of systems and procedures that don't really talk to each other. It's scary as heck. This is a solvable problem through technology, but it's also a problem with huge consequences if we don't solve it. Canadians cite our healthcare system as a source of national pride. Also, 50% of Canadians cite it as extremely difficult to navigate. So is the pride nostalgia or wishful thinking? 50% of the time, it sucks. It's not our healthcare workers to blame. 1 in 5 Canadians don't even have a family physician. And of those family physicians, 1 in 6 are 65 or older, so close to retirement. Remember all those tax dollars that are going to our healthcare system? This is not a system that's firing on all cylinders. You want more? 45% of Canadians have at least 1 chronic disease. 10% have 3 chronic diseases. That's chronic, like forever. Life expectancy has gone down for 3 years in a row. Again, all of your tax dollars going towards these chronic diseases. Throw an obesity epidemic into the mix. Since 1990, obesity has doubled in adults, quadrupled in kids. In the last 4 years, we've spent 92% more dollars on obesity drugs. Our health literacy is abysmal, so our ability to advocate for ourselves and make good, healthy decisions is poor. If health literacy was a test, we'd be toddlers. So what makes us healthy? Health literacy is the biggest predictor of health status, bigger than socioeconomic status, age, or ethnicity. If we were in school, we'd be failing. So optimism is the belief in things getting better. Hope is the belief in the personal ability to change those things. Optimism is a wish, hope is a plan. So I want to close today with a case for hope and how employers can ignite that change around healthcare, leveraging technology. Right now, we have all of the tools to start making an impact, to impact chronic disease, to alleviate illiteracy. Not tomorrow, not in the future. We have those things right now. So 3 things that employers can do right now. Virtual healthcare platforms are available that employers could offer their employees. 75% of visits to the family physician can probably be handled through virtual healthcare. We can fill the gaps. AI-powered concierge services can fill in the other 25% and help employees navigate the way. Personal healthcare devices like MyWhoop, please ask me about MyWhoop, connected to AI platforms, has the ability to bring personal health data down to each person, makes it customized. It empowers us to make changes around our own personal health. Finally, coaches for everybody. Again, AI tech, virtual platforms. Health coaching has the ability to bring personal health care to each and every individual person. We should be able to have our own personal health and concierge right in our pocket. It's happening to me right now while I'm talking. And what else? You have to demand better from the insurance companies that manage your benefits plans and the providers that we tack around the edges. Consumer demand is going to drive change quicker for innovation than the public systems that we have in place today. If you know me, you know that I'm passionate about health and wellness, and this is why we need to change. I asked you where your health records went, and here's why. This is a story we probably all have. This is my dad. 18 months ago, my dad had an x-ray that revealed he had advanced cancer in his liver, in his lungs, in his kidney. He found out about it 1 month ago because those health records went nowhere, not to his GP, not to his healthcare team, to no one. So he's left with the outcome of no hope, and he's probably not going to make it to Christmas. So I'm going to leave you with this question. Is our healthcare system beyond repair, failing people like my dad, or on the cusp, back from the brink, leveraging technology to change for a better way? Thank you.
And our next speaker is Katie Wilhelm.
Allyship is an action. And a lot of us are concerned with getting it right. It's a hot topic these days, but Indigenous people aren't looking for perfect leaders. We're actually looking for friends. We're looking for authentic relationships, but why does it feel so hard? I think it's hard when we're not leading authentically. It can be frustrating to navigate this, and I totally get it. So just quit. Just stop. I'm here to satirically share with you a few impacts of just not doing allyship at all. Let's start with Indigenous-led recruitment, because if you did, you might find yourself connecting with Indigenous community authentically. You might find that you're appreciating that we need a little bit more time and space to do things. You might find that you're attending our events and that you're supporting Indigenous schools. You might find yourself focusing on history, rights, and traditions. Ew! You might learn why we're disadvantaged and why we're so angry and why we're not showing up to the table. You might also listen to some ways to move forward. There's a reason why the windshield is bigger than the rear view. I think we should respect what's behind, but always looking forward. So let's not rethink hiring criteria to reduce systemic barriers. Just avoid it. Keep things the way that they are. We don't have diverse experiences that could probably change our workplaces for the better in the future. We've been here since time immemorial. We've learned a couple of things about this place, but you don't need that, right? It's not like we're in a climate crisis or anything. Speaking of the climate, stop incorporating land acknowledgements. It's not like Indigenous people view land and water as sentient spirit beings, like it's integral to our worldview. If you're not understanding that, you're not being an ally. So that's great. You're not respecting the traditional territories where our companies operate. And we don't have to educate people on the significance of land and shared waters. It's not like we're all here together and we're not going anywhere. So let's not put these people into diverse leadership positions and pathways in our organizations. You don't want that wisdom at the top level anyway, because we won't see any innovation. The Indigenous worldview is actually really, really beautiful. It focuses on individualism and cultural sensitivity and sees everyone as equal at the baseline. So cultivating community stronger community ties isn't really important if you're not looking at being an ally anyway. Creating open spaces for discussions on Indigenous issues and equity-deserving groups is kind of how we got ourselves into this mess in the first place. We've allowed our employees to ask too many questions. We've created inclusive, healthy workplace culture. Oh no, we've dismantled biases, and we've addressed broken treaty agreements, because that's what we're really upset about at the end of the day. We have a contract together in the form of treaty agreements, and one side didn't live up to their bargain. So these meaningful partnerships with Indigenous organizations, it's about collaboration over competition. And you don't have to worry about that anymore because we're not being allies anymore, right? We just quit. So collaborative community outreach initiatives, nah. Contributing to the Indigenous economy, nah. Supporting local businesses, don't need it. We don't like fry bread, right? Flexible policies that accommodate Indigenous cultural practices would mean that everyone in the workplace felt like they could express themselves, that we could be ourselves, that we could be people, that we could be humans and not just resources. Mutual respect for culture-based observances and making employees feel supported, I think goes beyond policy and has to be authentically relationship building. Making friends. One of the biggest questions that in my work is about how do I reach Indigenous people? How do we connect with those communities? And I say, do you know how to make friends? That's all we want. And also we want you to be held accountable for some of these things. Simply by talking to Indigenous experts. The TRC calls to action, I know we've all heard about it, right? Well, there's a good reason. It's a huge undertaking to put all those stories together. And that's the golden ticket as far as how to move forward. But allyship feels too hard. We're not gonna move forward anymore. If this all feels too much and something I said today resonates with you and you'd really like to chat about it, let's talk. My grandma was in residential school. She assimilated. And later on, unfortunately, she passed away from alcoholism because of the mental health issues that were too great. Assimilation does lead to death and death of our people. So I hope allyship is not too hard.
Please welcome James Smith to the stage.
Hi, everybody. Today, I want to talk about a few things that we've noticed in our business, Caring Support. We created an AI job match-up platform to help address the healthcare staffing crisis. It's very forward-thinking, but today's market has changed, and so much stuff that when I talk to HR is it's stuck in the past, and we really need to start thinking about how do we creatively engage candidates? How do we go after them? Have we thought about moving outside that box, as they say, and say that, you know what, I want to start finding people other ways. Yes, LinkedIn's awesome. I live there. It's virtual networking, so sign me up. But the truth of the matter is what about Reddit? What about, Instagram? You see, I worked with home care places, and they're like, oh, yeah, we're looking for young people. And then 2 sentences later, yeah, we publish on Facebook. I'm like, do you know any young people on Facebook? Because I don't. Anyway, emotional intelligence is one of the greatest things that you can absolutely find in people for candidates, because this is going to come with empathy. It's going to come with conflict resolution. It's going to come with all those different things. And then you'll see in the next slide that these are some of the things that you're going to get if you look for people with a high level of EQ. If the people making decisions on this do not have EQ, then you're not understanding this. And I think it's important. I personally believe in healthcare. Every single senior leader should be taught emotional intelligence effective immediately. AI. I love AI. I use it like crazy. I build a side business with AI. I embrace it like crazy. And it is so great because people who say it's a fad have no idea what they're talking about. It's everywhere and it will continue to be everywhere. But I think what you need to do is figure out how you embrace it. Never, despite all the wonderful things it does, never ever forget the human touch. Okay? Never forget about reaching out, making connections, building relationships, and making this really clear. So here's some things. You'll see on the slide. It says the clear messaging, the time period, and everything. We have dealt with so many people who don't take it as an experience. Candidates are judging us too. And what we have to start doing is start realizing that it's not about us anymore. It's about them. A passive candidate, what about them? Like they say that over 70% of people hate their jobs. Why don't you just reach out and say, hey, you know what, we got this thing, but you got to be very creative in doing that, right? So let's talk a little bit about immigration. I absolutely love to help newcomers. There's some here I invited tonight, and they're here. Can they raise their hands, please? Thank you. Ilana. So let me tell you why this is so awesome. They'll teach you a lot of things. But when you bring people in, you're helping build a real experience with people when you bring them in. You're helping define their lives. And you need to build their confidence. You need to mentor them. You need to include them, involve them, get them involved in different things so they don't feel lost. There is no geographical issue now. This is a global talent pool. So it's great to pick from that. But part of the problem is you'll see with ATS systems and stuff, it's filtered so much that people who don't have Canadian experience or whatever, you know all about that, don't you, Alana? Is they are not ever given a chance. So the number one sentence I hear all the time when I deal with HR is, this is the way we've always done it. And I'm like, oh my God, kill me now. But the truth of the matter is people need to start realizing that if they embrace different things and think differently and be more creative and start using data, data can drive results, predictions, start finding trends in candidate behavior. There's so many wonderful things it can do. So when you need to realize is that now as an HR, you're selling your business, whether you like it or not. You need to sell it now. You need to create an authentic, relatable, great story. Be transparent. Talk about your retention. Talk about all these different things. You see, we're talking about retention. Retention is huge. It's just as important as acquisition. And a lot of people tell me stuff like, oh yeah, we don't have it on our website. We tell people after they apply. And you're like, guys, you need to really, really engage with people. You need to make them feel part of what's going on so that they feel great about it. Flexibility in work schedules and working from home, we all know the story, but remember, that's a selling point too. That's a selling point. So be sure to talk to people about that. So here's the thing. You can see on the list about shifting, prioritizing, innovating. Innovating is so critical in HR. But it's so many people. I've dealt with hospital structures where every single person was on vacation and they closed down the ER. Every single person. Like, that's unacceptable in my opinion. So nimble and agile. We deal with some hospitals where they take 8 to 10 weeks to call a nurse back. 8 to 10 weeks. I said, yeah, that nurse is long gone, folks. This is not the way it used to be. So guys, please embrace innovation and creativity. And thank you for your time.
And our last speaker of the evening, one of ARIA's resident rock stars, and we got a lot of them, Sharon Bunce.
Hi, everyone. I'm here to talk about the HR evolution and how to future-proof your organization. Let me take you back to my first career position in HR. I remember thinking, what the heck am I doing? About a year into that role, we decided to run an employee engagement survey. We asked a simple question. The company's policies are clear and applied consistently. The result, only 20% of employees agreed with this statement. It was pretty clear that our HR policies were failing. Like many organizations, they had downloaded and borrowed as much policy content as they could. It resulted in hundreds of policies. Exhausting, right? Before I continue my story, I want to talk a little bit about where we are today in the world of HR. Today, almost 98% of Canadian businesses have less than 99 employees. 51% of those businesses expect to grow their permanent employee headcount, and 39% expect to remain the same. However, since 2010, turnover rates have increased 88%. 71% of Canadian workers want to leave their jobs in the next 12 months. 80% of employees say they're somewhat disengaged, and 53% report feeling negatively about work. How can we grow if our people are in limbo? So when we think about HR practices, we really haven't changed that. We keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. We implement policies or programs that check a box. We use the same playbook, expecting different results and outcomes. But really, when we when we think about those practices, sorry, I looked at my slides and I got a little messed up. When we think about those practices, the one thing to remember is that organizations with a strong organizational culture see 73% improved attrition. That outside of compensation, because that's a different conversation for a different day, it's employee recognition, training and development, and promotion and increased, I gotta stop looking at my slides, and increased responsibilities that really drive impact. So today, what we really need to do is focus on igniting the passion and purpose in our organization. But how do we do that? We focus that by focusing our efforts on high-value activities. From an HR policies and practices standpoint, really ask yourself, do these policies protect my business? Do they protect my employees? Do they drive outcomes and results? If they don't, stop doing it today. It's a drain on your energy, and as a result, your passion and your purpose. Instead, start asking yourself, what can change? Look at removing those time wasters. That might be meetings that serve no real purpose. We all have those. Or it could be policies that are overwhelming that no one reads, no one uses. Perhaps it's a performance appraisal system that focuses on the past. We left school a long time ago, so why are we still having report cards when performance management should be really focused on where we're going and how we're going to get there? Next, you want to challenge yourself on your outdated practices and concepts. Perhaps it's the thought that you need to see people to know that they're working. The pandemic proved us wrong. So why are so many organizations bringing employees back? Is it working? Maybe we have to ask ourselves, why do we need these policies in this format? Is it because it was designed in the 1970s by John Carver? Or is there a better way to share our organizational information and expectations out to staff? So back to my story. I came up with a new idea. I pulled a small team together, and I gave them pens and highlighters, and I said, look at our policies. Cross out anything that's not relevant, and highlight those things that really speak to what we're asking employees to do and what we're promising. The result was that our policy content reduced by 70%, and that we would hold up a whole page of content with only one sentence highlighted. We then asked employees a year later that same question. Are organizational policies clear and applied consistently? 80% of employees agreed with that statement. I share this story with you because I really want you to know that evolving your HR practices doesn't have to be overwhelming or complicated. It could be simple. There's small things we can do every day. For example, offering job offer packages instead of job offer packages rather than just employment contracts. Really wrapping your organizational values and beliefs into that job offer. Do you still need employment contracts? Ron, yes, you absolutely do. They protect your organization, but wrapping it with some of your culture and values can really help you with attracting and retaining that employee from day one. So as we wrap up today, I really want to leave you with one thought or one question. What is one change you can make today that would have an impact within your organization? Perhaps it's something you already heard here tonight. Perhaps it's removing some policies that no one's using. Perhaps it's stopping a meeting that you no longer need. What is the one thing you can do to really evolve your HR practices? Thank you.
Well done. Oh my gosh, we're at the end. How did that happen?
And on time.
Woo! All right, the moment we've all been waiting for, wrapping up here with the draw. We actually had to debate who should carry the bowl and who gets to draw the names out.
So I'm carrying the bowl.
I'm drawing the names.
All right.
All right, so the first draw would be for which?
The Yeti.
Eh?
The Yeti, it's on the
The
screen.
Yeti? All right, the Yeti. Huh?
Okay, here we go.
And the winner.
Let's see if we like them first.
Oh.
Oh, do we?
Do we?
Do we?
Do we?
Oh,
should have
no.
brought my glasses up
Drop
here.
it.
Okay. I think it says
Melissa
Hughes.
Woo!
Woo! Come on up.
Right?
Sitting there and I was like, I'm going to win it. They're going to pull my name.
And we did.
Look at that.
High five.
And James will take this to your car for you.
Awesome. Congratulations, Melissa. Oh, don't kick it off.
Oh, we should get a picture. Yeah, here,
Yeah.
we'll kneel.
Can I sit on your new?
Awkward,
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Okay,
All right,
congratulations,
Melissa, yay.
Melissa.
But yet there's more.
What?
Yes.
One more draw.
Can I win this one?
Nights
No.
tickets? No, you don't have a name in, James. Sorry. That would be inappropriate. All right. Oh, gosh. This one is, ready? 1, 2, 3. Natalie Sims.
There's been a total bias to this side of the room the whole
All
night
right,
long.
I
I'm so
know.
sorry.
Sorry,
We're
so
so sorry. So,
Sit on the left side next year. All right.
you know what?
We need a picture.
Yep, we need a picture.
Come for a picture.
Come.
Now the cooler's gone. I have nowhere to sit.
No. You just be right here.
We'll come down to you.
We'll hang out with you. This is awesome. You know what?
Kelly, move your hand. Can you do it again?
Yeah.
Kelly, don't move your hand, just smile.
You know what?
Thanks, James.
We can do another draw for some nights tickets. We got lots of them. Let's do
One
another
more?
one.
All
Let's
right,
do another
one more.
Let's one more. And let's manifest. Right side of the room, or our
Go
right,
right
your left.
side.
Manifest. Manifest it.
You
Come on.
heard manifesting works.
Woo, right. Okay, let's go.
Oh, I should
And if
quit
it's on that
picking
side of the
small
room, we're not
squares.
doing it.
Okay, the winner is
Ken DeVries.
Ken DeVries.
And it's on that
Get on
side
the
of the
right
room.
side.
Oh my God, this is awesome. Yeah, buddy. Woo! There you go. Fantastic. There you go.
Congratulations.
All
All
right.
right.
Down we go. Here we go. This is so much fun.
Let's do one more shot. Thumbs up, Jerry. Thumbs up again. There we go.
All right, what else have we got to give away? All the wine at the back of the bar.
I don't think that works.
No, we can't do that.
All right, one
Anyway.
should never publicly squat on a stage. I just want to say that for everybody. Okay.
That's
So-
next year's Disrupt Talk.
We'll talk to Ron first about how to structure that one.
So anyway, so this comes to the end of our evening. We want to thank you for coming out, obviously. We also want to thank our amazing speakers. It takes a lot to get up here. To take a concept, an idea, and distill it down into 5 minutes, it takes a lot of time. Thanks to James, who's been coaching our speakers to get to that 5-minute mark. It looks easy. It is super epically hard. So thank you to all our speakers. Let's give them a round of applause one more time for that. That's awesome. As we started the evening, we simply can't do this without sponsors. I mean, we could. It's so much easier when we have sponsors that can help us put this together. This event, our audiovisual people. Did we give a shout out to Morrison?
I want to give a big shout out to Morrison Multimedia. They are rock stars.
Absolutely
have helped
amazing.
us last year and this year and did a great job.
Great job. If you've been to Disrupt 1, 2, or 3, you'll appreciate how awesome these guys are. We had some shit shows in our first years, but we get better. One was poor person got up on the stage and we didn't have slides for them, and he said, "I don't know what to do," and I just yelled from back, "Hey, just keep going." It was awesome.
We believe in continuous improvement. at
Absolutely.
RIA.
Absolutely. So also thanks again to our team, to our sponsors, to Bellamere, and most importantly, thank you for coming, because this event is nothing without you here and cheering on our speakers and being part of this epic evening. Thank you for that. We look forward to seeing you again next year. Don't know where it'll be. Maybe it's here, maybe it's somewhere else. We don't know. But thank you for coming. Feel free to hang out for a little bit, shake hands, connect, network, and whatnot. And we'll see you hopefully soon. Thanks for
Thanks
coming
so
out.
much. Have a great night. Safe home.